It's really exciting to be living in today's fast-changing world of new technologies like serverless, PaaS, open APIs, blockchain, artificial intelligence, that allows us to build and create open and tremendous opportunities to create new applications and make people's lives better. So that's Adnene. I'm
Hi everyone.
from the Fusion User Experience Platform team, UXP, in Paris. And today we're going to talk about how in Finastra we create applications leveraging on those new technologies. So just a short warning, we're not going to bother any further explaining what are these technologies. We're just using them out of the box. Like when you buy a car, you don't know how it works, but you still can drive it right away. So creating new functions, connecting to APIs, it's something that we're using to leverage on top of. And so let's talk about a bit Finastra and what are our challenges. So Finastra is the result of last year's merge of two financial software companies, MySys and D&H, that joined forces to create one Finastra. And actually, our portfolio of products is a range that goes from lending to transaction banking, retail banking, which is your applications that you have in your phone to connect to your bank and look at your bank account, treasury and capital markets. And we have 9,000 clients currently. So that's kind of a big portfolio of clients to which we need to who we need to provide more than 60 products. So that's a bit the context. But our customers, they also face challenges on their side. Because in today's world, the financial services industry is undergoing significant change. And what happens is that they have to comply to new regulations all the time. Also, they have to deliver software that their customers like to use. So quality of applications, speed of application creation. So on their side, they also face similar challenges. Of course, the competitors, it's always something that they have to think of. And that's why we are here. That's why there is the Fusion UXP team. So the goal of our team is actually to provide a single platform that we share across Finastra with different product teams that they use to create applications. This guarantees a consistent UI, consistent user experience. And by the way, it's cloud ready, which means that we're launching fusionfabric.cloud in June. And fintechs and partners will be able to use the platform as well to create other applications. And I'm going to walk you through what is our process of creating and building applications. We are a mixed team. We have UX designers as well as developers in our team, and we are following a pretty standard process, like defining what the personas are, what is the use case, analyzing, doing some research. I'm going to just, for the second step of the analysis part, show you some tips or something that I would like to share with you, the way we work. So for example, instead of using the graphical tools that you may have heard, like Balsamiq, Photoshop, we just think that the fast way to iterate with a product manager during a brainstorm session is well to use paper. So this is a sketch on paper. You don't invest a lot of time. You just throw it, you create another one, etc. And so that's about the analysis part. But if we go to the design phase, so this is where it's really time-consuming to create mock-ups, graphic pixel-perfect mock-ups. So that's where we say, okay, we need to optimize and speed up on this phase. So what we decided to do is use a design system. Well, thousands of companies are now using design systems. So here, that's a definition that you can read. What is a design system? Basically, it's about componentized approach. And that's something we have in software engineering since the late 60s. So reusing what you create so it can speed up the process of designing or developing. And we got actually very inspired by Brad Frost. So Brad Frost, this is his methodology, atomic design, which is not just a methodology, but also a way of thinking. It's not a linear process, but rather thinking that an application is a whole, but that is composed of a collection of parts that you can bring together. So he defines this as atoms that become molecules, that become organisms, etc., to form pages that can be a website or an application, of course. And by the way, for design system, you have open source available like Angular Material Design or Microsoft Carbon. So there are already available as open source. So what we wanted to do is not just another style guide, but to adapt this to our workflow. So we created our design system, and the idea, of course, is to having this a design system, making it possible to reuse those components. So instead of focusing to one product, so we have 60 plus products, we can have a design system that can create like Lego bricks that we can reuse then and actually address unlimited number of requirements. So that's the purpose, and that's here how we implemented it on our side. So we didn't like the chemical terms of molecules and atoms, and we rather renamed them and put labels like UI elements, UI bricks. So UI elements would be not only a visual definition of, okay, this is an input, this is a button, but it's also a CSS style. It's also HTML, so there is code behind it. And for UI bricks, for example, you have a search icon, input, and a button. Well, this will form a search form. So that's how we actually increment, and this will be an Angular directive, for example. So there is JavaScript behind it. And the components will be widgets that combine those UI bricks and also contain some metadata. So metadata means my widget, how it's the widget configured, what are the events that the widget can receive, what are the actions that you set on this widget. And when you combine all those widgets into a layout, that's what we call a board. So a board will have the size of the widgets, the interactions between those widgets, etc. And when you combine multiple boards together, well, this will form a workspace. So a workspace will be a user flow. It corresponds to something that is meaningful for the end user and also contains interactions, some metadata, and information on this. So that's the theory. And by the way, we don't use it just for splitting the UI in chunks, but also to organize our work across different teams. So for example, here you can see that on for each stage, there are different, for example, personas, different people that can contribute. We're having this as like an open source internal project, so everyone can contribute as a UX designer, as a visual designer, CSS expert, JavaScript developer, and that's how we actually organize our work horizontally across Finastra, across different teams. And here's another way that we share our work. So you can also reuse it for any product because it's agnostic, and you can actually contribute. If you're a product team and you come up with a new widget, then you can contribute. It's an open source. There are pull requests, and you can contribute to this living design system. So that's what it's original, or what is different about us, is that we don't want to have a team that is a bottleneck. We want everyone to be in Finastra participating to improving it, enhancing it, and reduce the gap between user experience and development. So in our team, we are working together. So there is no separate, no separation between both. So that's how we organize our work. And we are improving the speed and the quality of application creation. But we're still facing some challenges. So the first one is the UX consistency and the speed of application development. Well, we're improving it, and maybe in your case, you don't have that many products. Maybe you're just, in your company, you have one product, but you want to improve, add new features quickly, so you may still have an issue to speed the application creation. So another issue is the UX and dev gap. So having pretty pixel-perfect designs, but that never, or they get implemented very late, or they're not exactly implemented as they should. And code duplication, having different teams working on the same features, but without sharing what they're doing. And this results in issues with the scalability and maintenance. So maybe this sounds familiar to you. Actually this is something that I guess is common for a lot of software companies. So one way would be, okay, let's just share with you, because our team, the platform Fusion UXP team, we're in Paris and we're just 10 people. So we're just 10 people, but what we ship is used at currently, so the numbers are increasing, but currently what we do is shared by more than 17 teams across Finastra, and we're shipping more than 20 products. And the number will be increasing. So just by having 10 people, we are able to scale already with using the Fusion UXP. And look at the ratio. So having one designer per 140 developers. What does this mean? So let's compare this to the current state for some big companies where the ratio is much lower. So it means that they have, in the past years, recruited a lot of designers and a lot of developers. So people say software is eating the world, but also design is eating software development. So there is this ratio that has been reduced. But imagine how it would feel, okay, what we would do in Finastra if we had to just assign one developer or one designer per client. We have 9,000. So for us, this is not the strategy we have to go for. So we went, apart from the design system, we're going to show you another strategy that we put into place. So, because hiring is not the only option that we can increase and scale application creation, right? So we believe that by education, by sharing, and by using visual declarative programming tools like flow-based programming, maybe you have heard of Node-RED, LabVIEW, or Simulink, or event concurrency programming, we know that kids at age 5, they can be building and developing on a tablet using advanced programming algorithms. So we want to leverage on those tools that are inclusive, participative, and that help people that are not maybe developers or not designers use these tools to increase the number of developers and designers that we have. So it's time for the demo now. So Adnene, actually I would like to have, when I come first time in the morning, I would like to have my equities portfolio dashboard. I want to see how my P&L is doing per sector, and just in less than 3 clicks, I want to see the counterparty that is contributing the most and that is generating the lowest P&L. Oh, and by the way, I think it's cool if we can have the Bloomberg feed also have some real-time news coming directly into the application. That would be cool. So I don't have to change my screen.
Yeah, thank you so much, Raya, for the introduction. So as like Raya was saying, I don't know if you have some issue with the microphone. It's okay. So as Raya was mentioning, the whole idea is that how we can today speed up and increase the pool of people who can create application. By creating application, it means we are trying to solve problems. And here we can see it's one example of our product, which is the buy side. So here, like basically, you have portfolio, and you want to have some understanding how your portfolio is distributed by sector, industry, and different other information. So let me show you. So just let me give you an idea about how it looks like and walk you through the platform itself. So what you're seeing here in the screen, so this is like the Fusion UXP itself. So on the bottom, you can see you have a list of widgets. On the main screen is the canvas, where we can draw here. And on the top, you have different tools. So we are watching one of them. So it's like this one, which we call it the layout builder. Just before back to use case, Raya was asking about it. I mean, one word about the serverless, right? When we start building an application, a UI today, we know that there is someone who exposing the service where we can consume it. So we will not walk through that, but just give you an idea. So here we have different API. One of them is equities, and you can see we have different dimensions and measures. By dimension is everything I can aggregate with. So we can see you have list of countries, list of currencies, and everything linked to measure is something which can quantify. So here is the P&L is for profit and loss. And the whole idea is like to show here that imagine tomorrow if there is more tools available for people, helping them to access to that services and kind of liberate them creativity to build application without thinking about this kind of barrier about writing code and trying to understand how the server is up or down or other complicated knowledge. We need to know that. So the idea here is just if you can make a PowerPoint, you can make application. So back to your use case. So if you can just remember here, so we have that screen, you have a list of card here, we have a chart, we have a table, and you have a feed of news. So this is what I'm trying to do now. So I'm using the canvas to draw my first component. So here I have a list of what we call cards. What you can see in the right, this is the configuration of the component, like the selected component. I will just try to show you some other options. So here we can see the list of your API. So one of them is equities. Now I have more options. As Raya was mentioning, I will choose like the sector one, and I will have two other measures to give me an idea about how my portfolio is distributed. So here I take the P&L and the white-in strategy. So as you can see, every time when I'm just changing something, we can see it in real time what's happening. So we have kind of live product. Just continue with the use case mentioned by Raya. So here I have different data visualization component. I will take the first one with just the chart. Same thing, I will start by choosing my first API, which is the equities. Now we can see different option about the axis. So here I have my x-axis. So in my case, I will take industry. And for the y, I will have the P&L. And also the white of strategy. As you can see, that there is two different value. One which is expressed in million, which represent like the revenue, and the other one is expressed for the percentage. So it's not that easy to put them in the same axis. So and this is the role of UX and the dev when they're working together, trying to provide the right option for the end user to be sure that he can visualize and have his own data in the right way. So here, I'm just changing the axis for the white strategy to put in the right. Now we have better, let's say, visualization, and we can see better the chart we have here, the percentage. Other option we can mention, and there is many of them, but it just give you the control about, for example, the axis in the left. We can choose the short amount and just to win space and how we can do that. The other thing is like we can choose how we can express it in million, choose how many digits we can put. We can change the name, we can change the colors and different options. So let's continue with the use case. And here I have a table. So same thing, choosing my API equities, and I just took all the columns. And that's it. So here we go. So we have like the first draft coming from that one. So just we have the idea about it. So what I'm missing now is that there is no...
You don't have any interactions, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So what we want to do is like just to inject a bit of interaction and business on that. And as Raya was mentioning, there is a different tool to do that and different way to do it. We decide to adopt what we call the flow-based programming. And like there is many different, let's say, tools or a way how to make flows, like the flow-based programming. We decide that if you have the representation, graphically the representation of your application, it's more easy to understand your application, how it's work, how we can debug that, how we can do better. So I will show you another tool here. So we have, we call it the link editor. So let me just drag and drop because you can reorder your platform, and you can imagine here we can have different tools. So just move to the second one. And as you remember here, so this is how it looks like. I don't know if the guys are familiar with this kind of tools. Here, there is my 3 widget I just create now. So the first one is my card. As you can see, there is in and out. So we can see there is like there is an event we can consume, and there is action we can dispatch. So I will put my 3 widget, all of them. And what I want to do is that when I'm selecting a card, I want to filter my chart, and also I want to filter my table. And then when I'm selecting something from my chart, I just want to filter my table too. So now you can see visually how your software is working. So I'm making like basic flow here. So it's mean like if you back to your screen, so every time now when I'm selecting, for example, a sector, I can see that my chart and my table, it's filtering with what I just select. And same thing, if I choose the banks here, I can see my table, it's filtered for that way. And this is the whole idea. Like with this kind of tools and graphically tools, we can build like application more easily, and everyone can contribute. We don't need to have a huge background in IT or software engineer to just do something like this. So let's just continue and imagining the idea that now how, for example, designer and can just start helping the guys to make it better. And so different options, same thing, like you can add some backgrounds for your chart, for the table. There is a lot of different options. I just activate a few of them, just to give you an idea. So what we can do with this. So now we just kind of improved our table where we can potentially group by some dimensions. I'm showing this because we try to avoid the issue with what we call the Swiss knife. It's mean like we don't want to offer all the options out of the box. It depends the use case. You can choose what you want to activate or not. So if you don't want to have the Excel export, so you don't need to do that. So this is just what I want to show here. So we continue, Raya. So the next use case, what we want is just to try to include some feeds coming from Bloomberg. So as you can see here, if you go to website.
And I don't want to see them all the time. I want to be able to show and hide them on demand.
So here just I'm making a quick search. So this is one way how we can integrate with other systems. So here I'm just adding an iframe. And what I want is every time when I'm selecting my equities, I want to see if there is some information coming from the feed of the news. So here, same thing, I'm choosing iframe, just putting the basic URL in the beginning, and back to my flow. And this time what I want is that when I'm selecting my table, I want to set the URL. And what I want to set here is that, so here in the configuration, I just replace the BNP by the first column of the table. And now, every time I'm selecting my table, I should have the information about my equities, and so on and so forth. So we can imagine tomorrow is something else we can do for that. We can also just improve the way how, I mean, if this, we was talking about A/B testing. So this is first version. We can say, okay, we are happy with that first version. If there is another use case where we want, instead of just opening these tools in the bottom, you just double click on your row and you can have the information. Same thing, you can say, let's say from the table, when I'm double click, I want to ask the platform to open a model. In this case, I'm choosing my iframe, and I will select the size of it. So now, just in a few clicks, instead of just double clicking, we can have something more advanced as as interaction, and so on and so forth. We can also navigate between like different screens.
Thank you. That looks like a cool first version. And by the way, I don't like the white.
Yeah. So
the white. I mean, it hurts my eyes staring at it all day long.
Yeah. So because we are a platform, and also we have, as Raya mentioned, like more than 60 products. So we need to also be, open in the way how we can customize the application. So yes, we are based on SaaS for like CSS, but also we want others be able to build their own theme. So here, just I'm showing 2 examples. So I can just quickly change and switch between like white to dark theme. Everything is module, by the way. So it's mean like everything I'm showing here, like the theme, the widgets, all of them are NPM module for people who know NPM, and also it's lazy loaded. It's mean like if you have 100 widgets in the bottom, don't worry about that because we only load what you have on the screen. Different options can be used here. I don't think I will like show all of them, but maybe same thing like facing when you are in financial software. Usually you are facing different country and different language. Yeah, I mean French. I think it's that easy, but one of the challenging we was facing is when you move from left to right and completely switch your application, and it's a bit challenging how you can manage that. And we still have some issue, but yeah, we have customer in different Oriental country, and they are using the platform too. You can define your shortcuts. You can define your own, let's say, palette. This is especially when we are facing use cases where we are selling software to our customer, they are selling for them customer. So they want to have their own branding, their own color, their own logo, so they can do something like that.
Thank you. So here you saw 2 of the tools that we provide, the layout builder and the link editor. And in addition to that, as Adnene said, to become flexible and to provide other, to respond to the demand of branding or theming, we are also working on a theme builder. So this set of tools is containing more. So that's what we show you here today. But of course, it's even more. There are even more things to show you, more tools, and maybe we can see some examples of other applications that you can, other use cases that are built using Fusion UXP. So here we saw an example of dashboarding. So a use case where you want to drill down quickly. And now we're going to see, so here's just a quick demo showing you some payment transfer. So this application is based on forms, rules engine, so dynamically updating fields according to the values you enter. So it can be used for retail banking, for example, here.
So something just want to, usually this tool is always oriented for dashboarding, but in this case today we are using it for different type of applications. So from dashboarding to transactional screens, forms, and so on and so forth. And this one, Raya?
Yeah, and so here is in a use case of FXO Trader. So it's an FXO Trader workstation, and we have high density real-time information. So a lot of data to analyze, and what I really want to do as an FXO trader is to make money. So I want to know at what point I need to sell and what and when I have to buy. So it's like when you trade Bitcoin. And so here's another example of this dashboard, different visualization tools, and the flexibility of the layout builder allows us to really make the UI modular and adapt to this high density real-time use case. And maybe we can show the next one. Yeah, and then also we're thinking of making this responsive so you can use it on any device, on tablet, mobile, etc.
Yeah, maybe one point here, and make demo for that, maybe. Yeah. So something like when you are facing this type of screen, so you are imagining how potentially the responsive design can be. And how we can handle it. So here we have like 5 states. We can add wherever state we want, less or more than states. And the idea is that if we are managing responsive design only with like a CSS media query, it's not that enough because we cannot imagine what the user wants to, how the screen should behave for different use cases. So here what we did is that, for example, let's take this use case. So we can see that the screen are sizing and is not that pretty. What we can do is just like say, I don't want to see my table there. I don't want to see my card too. And the only thing I want to do is that I want to split my screen between my distribution by country and my distribution by sector.
So you can decide what content you want to show for different screen resolutions. It doesn't have to be the same. It can be something that is, depending on the context of use, very different.
Yeah. And you can see now, just when you switch to that size, the screen it's adapting to the right size for it. And this is the whole idea. Like you can not only hide and show component, but you can completely change them. You can imagine that screen with this component are really useful when you're in desktop application, but when you go to the mobile, maybe changing the type of the chart is really necessary for that. It's not only a question of repositioning or hiding or showing.
Yeah, and you can build really more applications with this. So actually the amount of applications you can build is endless. And because it's that intuitive to use, we believe that other people that are not necessarily designers or developers can, for example, as a business analyst, that have the knowledge of the field, they have the financial knowledge. So we give them these tools also to make it possible to fill in the pool of developers and designers that we're missing.
Yep. So, because this tool was easy to use, what's happening that there is different colleagues we have in the office, they start building application without asking us. And this is the main goal, what you try to do, is that we want to provide the right tool for the right person, let's say, and without necessarily having to back to us to ask how we can do that. What you're doing also maybe for the future, because you're running out of time, I think, let's discuss a bit about the future of that platform. So, as Raya mentioning, we are launching in June the FusionFabric.cloud, and these tools I'm showing here will be part of the story. There is other tools we don't get chance to talk about them, but especially like the component editor itself. It's like, if you don't find your happiness with the list of the widgets we are delivering out of the box, you can make your own widget. So by like basic function, I don't think we are running out of the time, right? So I will just quickly show that. Yeah, I'll show you. Oops.
So the idea is that our partners or internal products, they can also extend the platform, either by contributing, adding other widgets, or by creating new screens, new use cases that we then share. So it's like a knowledge database that keeps growing, and the more we share, the more we use it, the better and faster it gets to create an application.
Yeah, typically what we can do is that you can write your own CSS, you can write your own JavaScript, and then we can reuse that in the platform. Actually, I don't have internet connection, so this is why I cannot have the third party, but this is the whole idea. So you can just write your own HTML, CSS, use the third party, and link it to the other component and add it to the ecosystem.
Directly in the browser, so we don't have anything to deploy and anything. So maybe we can...
jump quickly to the conclusion. Yeah.
Well, there are other tools, as Adnene mentioned, but so that's the big picture.
So this is the big picture. Huh? So just what we show now is that anyone, I think, in this room will like... we are here excited about this period of where we are seeing this huge technology, and every week it's come with new announcements, and we just saw last week's like with Google I/O and other conferences. What we want is that in the end we want to transform an idea on a project for someone. How fast we can transform an idea to real solution or real application. And the ecosystem I'm showing here this is like inclusive system, because everything is visual, so we can understand how the application is working. You can change the behavior of the application without necessarily going deeply to write code to understand how the service is working and how the implementation is working. We're just thinking that increasing the pool of developer will be also with this kind of declarative tool, and we have new generation of coders. So if you have kids at 5 years, he can use the tablet and he can start having this interaction. And we believe this is the new potential generation of people who can build application.
Yeah, so just as a takeaway, having a design system that is as close as possible to the code, as close as possible to the product, and leveraging on those inclusive tools that are declarative, intuitive to use, we're able to leverage, and just with a team of 10 people, to provide a platform that is used by more than 17 teams internally. And if you want to learn more, you can visit the platform website on finastra.com/platform, and you can get more information as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Raya and then
so maybe
from Paris.
Just can ask last thing. I think my mother will not believe me. Can I have selfie with you guys if it's possible? If you.
I can also take a picture if you wish.
Yeah, I will do it with my phone. Hey guys.